You want to table it? Yeah. We don't have to have a call meeting. Put this off. I think it'll publicly look good too. All right. Well, it's 6 p.m. again. Jason and I were talking earlier. We can't believe this is the last meeting of the year for us, or so we thought. But anyway, call the meeting order for the Upson County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, December the 12th. If you would at this time, please rise for invocation.
Our heads. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for another opportunity to meet. And God, we pray that you be with us as we go through this meeting to handle the business of the county. Lord, we thank you for the celebration of the reason we celebrate Christmas, which is your son Jesus. And Lord, we pray that everybody understands the meaning of why we celebrate. Lord, we thank you for this holiday season. And God, we ask that you cover our community. We ask that you cover those families that are here and the families that are represented here. And Lord, we just pray that we be in your business and handle the business the way you would see fit. Lord, we thank you and we ask for forgiveness of all of our sins and wrongdoings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. You join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Okay. First item on the agenda is a public hearing for special exception SPX 2023 TAC 04. Jericho and Lisa Davis of Upson County requested Upson County permit and AR special exception for recreational vehicles, temporary housing during construction of their home at 575 Skelton Road. Okay, is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the public hearing? Okay, it's unanimous. All right. So. Thank you, Tom. Okay, you signed both sheets. You got it covered, right? All right. Well, typically what happens is I'll call your name. You come up here, state your name and your address for the record, and you get 5 minutes. But I'm assuming, I'll ask one of you to come up, or if you both want to come up, state your name and your address for the record, and just tell us what you want to tell us, and you got 5 minutes. Or you can tell me you just don't want to make any comments right now, because I'm sure if we have questions, we'll reach out to you since you're the applicant. Is that okay with everyone? Because I'm sure you're going to come up here and tell us.
What you going to ask anyways?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So it's for the construction of a home and that, so that we understand that. So did I say everything that you were going to say? You got 5 minutes. Why don't you come up and tell us what you want to tell us? I was trying to save us some time.
All right. Del Rico Davis, 575 Skelton Road. The reason we're requesting this is because at this point our home is actually almost complete. It should be finished toward the end of January. But what we're running into now is we're running back and forth to the property every time we need to update somebody, hey, this is right, and inspect, or people coming out to the property that aren't invited, people just walking around the property, picking up things, and we have cellular cameras out there, so we're catching them and having to drive over, and it's like, hey, this was like 30-some minutes out of my way just to make sure you're not trying to do something to my property when I can just put my camper out there, and I'm there, and if anybody comes up, I immediately see them, and I'm able to answer any questions that any of the contractors who are working on the property, they have. We'll be able to take care of that. So that's some of the I guess the biggest reason that we want to take care of it at this point.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, do you have anything you'd like to add?
That he covered it all.
All right, thank you. Okay, so with that, there's no one else signed up for a for a comment. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? Public hearing phase is closed.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just do a very, very quick summary. Our planning director had intended to be here, but for reasons known to all members of the board, he wasn't able to be here tonight. But yeah, so essentially we're looking at 2.53 acres located on the west side of Skelton Road, part of Saddle Ridge Estates subdivision approved in May 2022. Parcel is south of Jeff Davis Road, north of Burkett Road on tax parcel 0210298. The Davises also own the adjacent parcel to the south, 021-029B. The subject property is currently zoned AR. It doesn't lie within a special floodplain or flood hazard area. The parcel is more specifically described as land lot 113 in the 15th district, page 8 maps of 172 map 16. So, and all the surrounding land uses are AR, so there's no other land use that's immediately touching property. The staff recommendation on this was approval. As a matter of fact, the planning director wanted me to convey to the board that they felt like these were model applicants. So I told Doug that I would do that. So he enjoyed working with them, and this is the rare case where they're coming to us before the RV's actually been put on site. So we just want to thank them for doing everything in accordance with the ordinance, which is sometimes rare. So thank you so much. So approval of the special exception with some conditions, which I think you'll see to be pretty reasonable. The approval is simply because the travel trailer has a temporary accessory use. The impacts are very minimal, and traditionally we have approved these in the past. The two conditions are: one, the well completion data form from the well driller be submitted to the county building and zoning department by December 26th. Oh, it's already, okay. So that's been met? Okay, and then the second was the septic tank shall be installed by January 12th. And the Department of Environmental Health inspection called for a copy of that Department of Environmental Health on-site sewage management system report shall be submitted to the Building and Zoning Department once the inspection report is received. If the septic tank hasn't been installed by then, the RV shall be removed from the site. So essentially, they just want to make sure you've got, water and wastewater there for it before it arrives. That's it from the staff, Mr. Chairman. Again, the staff recommendation was approval.
With those two conditions.
Right.
Okay. Anything else up there? I mean, normally he's got pictures, and didn't have the pictures this time?
No.
Okay. All right. All right. So, gentlemen, you have staff's recommendation. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve temporary use of RV while doing construction not to exceed 12 months.
Second.
Okay. With the condition as stated.
Right.
The only one, the septic installed.
Is
Yeah,
the
it's installed.
Right, I thought I saw that on here too.
The well was installed and the septic has already been installed, so there's no conditions now. Everything's good to go. All right.
Excellent.
It's been inspected? The septic's been inspected?
Yeah, they need to have it. We ended up with what do you call it?
A pump system, and they're gonna come back out to check that to make sure it's working, but we're not gonna go out there until that point. We have to have that pump hooked up to the power, and that's what we're waiting on to have done. But everything is already in. Once the pump is hooked up, everything's good to go.
So, gentlemen, I have a motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, Ms. Jones.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes, and always ask this, so where are you from? Where are you moving from?
We sold our house in Griffin, and we purchased this way because we wanted to have more land to kind of do.
Some chickens and some goats. And we couldn't have very nice.
Okay, all right, well, welcome to Upson County.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next is public comments. Y'all signed up for public comments. Is there anything you'd like to tell us from public comments? Talk about chickens or goats or anything like that? Okay, all right. So we don't have any other public comments, so we'll move along. Gentlemen, next on the agenda is an executive session for personnel. This is one we typically do this time of year. We have some board appointments to do. So I'll tell for everybody that's here, we're gonna go into a brief executive session. It's probably gonna take 10, maybe 15 minutes. Please hang around. We've got a lot of other business to take care of. And yes, Dave, we will have some action after executive session.
Chairman, the least you could have done for the audience here was ordered up some heavy hors d'oeuvres and an expensive Chablis.
Well, looking for that. We do have to approve the budget tonight, so we're looking for that, the 24 budget. So.
Okay, that'll be a line item.
Okay, well, sorry.
Fun 101.
You got your CFO and manager here. So at this point, can I have a motion to go into executive session for personnel?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Just give us, it won't take more than, try to get it done in 10 minutes.
Y'all don't have to stay.
But you can, I want you to
But you
stay.
can.
You don't have to stay in the room, you stretch your legs. It's coming down.
Can't see. One of my glasses right now hanging on my nose.
Okay, so as promised, we made it as quick as we could. Back. Yeah, I gotta find my piece of paper. So I need a motion to, we came out of executive session.
We're good. We came back out into regular.
We're in regular session. All right. You made it. All right. Okay, gentlemen, next for your consideration is the consent agenda. Tonight's consent, you have approval of the November 28th joint projects meeting minutes and approval of the November 28th regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion on the consent?
So moved. Second.
Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington.
Yes.
Chairman Allen.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's do this next then. I hope you guys, we got a lot on the tonight under new business, and I'm gonna try to get through it. If you give me some leeway on this. Let's go ahead and do the 2024 budget resolution. So next is the approval of Resolution 17, 2023, approving the 2024 budget. Jason, you want to?
Mr. Chairman, I can read the resolution if you like, or, well, let me start by doing that, and then if there's any additional questions or comments, we can after this.
Thank you.
Be it resolved by the Upson County Board of Commissioners, Upson County, Georgia, that the county enacts a resolution to be entitled a budget resolution for Upson County for the upcoming fiscal year commencing January 1 of 2024, ending December 31, 2024, to read as follows. Whereas the official Code of Georgia annotated 36813 requires that each local unit of government adopt a balanced budget for all required funds, and whereas the Upson County Board of Commissioners has established the general fund to serve as the primary financial reporting instrument for the current government operation, and whereas the proposed budget is based on current estimates of revenue and expenditures, and the Upson County Board of Commissioners may find it necessary to adjust budget revenues and expenditures from time to time during the year. And whereas the Upson County Board of Commissioners has a responsibility to achieve maximum efficiency and effectiveness in its financial operations by maintaining a balanced budget where expenditures may not exceed revenues according to state law. And whereas the county hereby used the insurance premium tax received in the prior year in the amount of $1,435,896 to reduce the unincorporated tax district costs included in Exhibit A for the unincorporated residents, and whereas the county hereby adopts the fiscal year 2024 budget for governmental funds, debt service funds, American Rescue Plan Fund, the Water Fund, the Waste Billing Services Fund, which are all attached and labeled Exhibit A. Therefore, be it resolved that the Upson County Board of Commissioners directs the county manager to administer the 2024 operating budget data in accordance with state laws, local ordinances, and all duly established policies. And be it further resolved that the Upson County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the county manager to appropriate special local option sales tax in accordance with the 2016 referendum and associated intergovernmental agreements for purchases of less than $10,000. And be it further resolved that the Upson County Board of Commissioners does hereby adopt, resolves, and enacts the foregoing budget resolution for Upson County, Georgia, adopted this 12th day of December 2023. And as you can see, Exhibit A goes fund by fund. So, as we remind ourselves at the end of our budget process every year, even though we have a vast budget document, it's all summarized at the fund level in that exhibit. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll...
Okay, so gentlemen, is there, I think there's going to be some discussion on this, but before the discussion, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 budget as proposed.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded approving this resolution for the 2024 budget. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just bring up a point that, our constitutional officers, I know our staff has met with the constitutional officers. However, we have not have a clear understanding of the merit increases, the difference between 0.88, but basically, letting them understand that we are budgeting for raises not to be given in January, but to be given on the employee's anniversary day.
The merit
Yes.
increase, right.
And if we approve this budget tonight, what we're basically doing is if they're disagreeing with that, that looked me in the eye and said, I agree or disagree. So I would like for us to get some confirmation on that before we approve the budget. I know we're right here at the end of the year, but still, either say yay or nay. It does, the budget is the budget is, but I want to I'd like to see their input. And then we have another position that was asked for in our probate court. This budget doesn't include that position. And it was recommended that they come back and do a budget amendment at, I guess, mid-year or whenever the funds run out. And I mean, if we know it now, we need to, I feel like we should address it. So I would like to see us, continue this until we can get some confirmation from that's just my opinion.
Do we know, Alan, maybe this addressing the merit increases that, that we're budgeting 0.88 versus the 1.75. We budget the 0.88 with the assumption that the officers that we're talking about are going to just give it to everybody on the January 1st. And so the 0.88, just so everybody remembers, the 0.88 number came from the average. Say, okay, if you do it on January the 1st for everybody, to keep it the same for everybody who's paid by the county for merit increases, that a merit increase in this office will be the same as a merit increase to the taxpayer in this office. So if to Commissioner Ellen's point is if they disagree and then they come out on January the 1st and do a merit increase of 0.75, then it's arbitrarily inflating and it's creating inequity, for lack of a better word, between, and I get it, they're not our employees, they do whatever, but we're the ones that have to approve the budget. So the budget that was presented to us included a 0.88, right?
Yes,
in those offices, and a 0.75 in all other offices where we know that they're going to be, those merit increases are going to be awarded on the date of the anniversary date of their hire.
Well, the budget was calculated, everybody, the budget was budgeted for 0.88, half of 1.75%. Except for the constitutional officers, everyone else received their merit increase on their anniversary date. So budgeting half to kind of account for that.
So half the people will get the first of the year. So
yes.
On average, you would think it's a rough. Right. It's not exact.
Right. So historically, just the time I've been here, most of the constituents, I think all of them typically want the merit increase applied for the first payroll period of the new year, the 1.75. So I communicated to them that the board was likely to approve 0.88%, but they haven't told me, well, I don't know what they'll decide to do. So, but they do know. I've informed them through an email. I've talked to 3 of the constitutional officers about it. So, but none of them said, okay, absolutely. I've just communicated it with them.
So is it to your concern, you want to see something in writing?
I would like just to get some type of acknowledgement from it, because I don't want them showing up in January going, hey, well, end of January going, hey, you know, I've submitted this paperwork, this isn't, I didn't agree, I never thought, we didn't discuss this, you know. And then we got and along with that, we got the other position that is currently filled, and it's been,
We did a budget amendment this year to handle it, but we didn't appropriate, we didn't, it's not in the budget that's been presented for this coming year. So, to your point,
I
we
mean,
know
if
it's there.
about it, if you know about it, you need to address it now. Don't wait to, you know, for it to come back. If you know you got an issue and there's two ways to solve it, you solve the issue.
Can I ask Alan a question? So if the constitutional officers did their 1.75 at the beginning of the year, how much more would those constitutional officers take versus doing raises on the anniversary dates?
could you just take 1.75 and double it?
From how much it would, for small departments, not much, probably negligible.
Negligible, like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000?
I would say 10,000 or less.
But if you're looking at it from a percentage,
Correct.
so you would basically take, instead of 0.88, you take 1.75 and double it, because you're taking 0.88 and doubling it, roughly. So if you take 1.75, so it's about a 3.5% merit increase versus a 1.7. As far as the taxpayers go, it's what we're paying for.
Yeah, say if somebody's anniversary date is not till December,
Sure.
and they get paid 1.75 from the very beginning,
Right.
they're gonna make a whole lot more than
So they'll make they will make more money. That's not presently in the budget that you all are seeking to approve. So it could, depending on, that's one item, compensation is one item of the budget. As you know, budgets are budgets. They're not exact science. So we could wind up where, even though they chose to have 1.75 added or an increase at the beginning of the payroll term for 2024, when we get through the middle of the year or so and I begin forecasting, they may be fine, because maybe they budgeted for repairs and maintenance at a certain cost, but they're coming in much lower or enough that it would absorb that difference. So we're looking at it from a department basis. But now when you have departments that have a lot of folks in it, 1.75 can make a difference.
like the sheriff.
Exactly. So we don't know what they will do. But they have communicated that, hey, those dollars are not in your budget that the board is likely to approve. So what they'll do, I don't know for sure, or what they'll ask us to do.
Mr. Chairman, may I add there?
Sure.
Yeah, Alan, well, especially Alan, but Alan and I, we worked very closely with all of them as they were working on their personnel budgets. So, out of the two items that Commissioner Ellington mentioned, you know, the one glaring one is the additional probate position. When it comes to the personnel budgets for the constitutional officers, I mean, like I said, we almost really did it together as a team. In the end, when January 1 comes, if a constitutional officer decides they want to give someone a 100% raise, that's not our decision to make. So obviously, you know, they tell us what their wishes are, and in the payroll system, we will go and make that change at their request. So we do talk to them about the status of their budgets and how things are going, and where the personnel items are, whether how they're tracking and things like that. But we never and have never said that if they wanted to do a 30% increase, I mean, that's their prerogative and that's their decision to make. It's not a decision that we make. Once the budget's set, they control their personnel just like
They control
I do with your
their spending.
personnel, they do with theirs. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so, well,
You got something to say on it?
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, that's probably not, I mean, that issue is not gonna, I don't see that we're gonna have issues, really, big issues with their budgets because of 0.88%, even in a large department. I mean, the sheriff technically, there's 4 departments in the sheriff's office, so I don't think there'll be an issue per se. I'm just the
recognize.
discussion is that they understand for certain, that's what's in their budget, but they can do what and they know what their budget is. I mean,
So the people have approved in this budget merit increases with an average of 0.88 for everybody.
And it just makes everybody consistent.
It does. Now, if anybody wants to do anything else, then that's on them, and if they overexpend, then they've got to come back to the people
For an amendment.
and ask for more money via budget amendment.
Right.
So, I mean, I get your point, but we got no, but to your other point, so it sounds like, I would say then, yeah, I mean, so we don't know what that dollar amount is for funding that position in the probate office. But you have a number?
It's gonna be approximately low 60s. Total comp, that's
Total?
benefits, salary.
So we would approve the budget as presented and add the cost for that position to the 2024 budget,
Yes,
if that's what we decided to do.
it's
You
gonna
Do
be.
you have to change the motion? There's already a motion in it.
Yeah, I'll ask. So,
Or, Mr. Chairman, I would certainly say that if that's the change you wanted to make, we could have that ready for you at the beginning of January. That would just be the first amendment of that, if that's just
so do
another.
a budget amendment in the 1st of January, so it's done.
Or
Does that
whatever,
work?
or whenever the board chooses.
So we don't have to do anything. We just go ahead and prepare a budget amendment 1st of January, so we address it, and then we adopt the budget as presented.
I mean, we can do that, or we can take care of it right now.
Well,
And whatever the will of the board is, we will carry out.
okay, I have a motion made and seconded, so to adopt the budget as presented. So, if you would like to amend your motions, or we can vote on those motions and then take another motion. I would prefer to do that. I would prefer to vote on the motions that are on the table right now and then address that. You see what I'm saying?
Mr. Chairman, all respect, how you gonna address it? It is part of the motion.
If the budget doesn't pass, then I'll ask for another motion on the budget.
Or I can rescind my motion.
What's easiest for you?
That would probably be the easiest way, the cleanest way to do it.
You want to?
Chairman?
I rescind my motion.
You likewise, I guess.
Likewise,
So based on that,
Yes.
I'll ask for, is there another motion on this proposed budget resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the budget with the addition of the position for the probate court. I don't know the total dollar figures for that. Not to exceed
Let's just say 65,000
$65,000.
comfortably.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded to adopt the 2024 budget resolution with the addition of funding the probate court position not to exceed $65,000. Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, Ms. Jones.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Okay, let's move on. All right, gentlemen, we've got a bunch of board appointments to do, but we have some guests here tonight, so if you would indulge, are y'all ready? If I move you up, you good to go? So if it's okay with y'all, next item on the agenda I'd like to discuss is where's it at? Item S, presentation of the fiscal year 22 audited financial statements.
Oh, that's cheap.
It's S on mine.
It's because ours, K and L are messed up.
Well, anyway, so whatever the item it is, it's presentation of fiscal year 22 audited financials. She gave this to me. She's in charge.
That's right.
This one's right, yours is wrong.
Okay.
How y'all doing?
We're gonna make difficult tonight.
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
Okay.
I think so.
Good. I appreciate you guys having us here. So I had just we have just submitted a draft to Alan and Jason to look at, and I didn't think it was fair for us to bring it to the board without them taking a look at the complete portion of it beforehand, because the financial statements are indeed the management's responsibility. And it's been, you know what, it's been a great experience for us. It's been a great experience going through this. Alan and his staff has been super helpful, and we really appreciate it. We really dug into the financial statements. You know, having a fresh set of eyes looking at the financial statements. Not that Sydney and Rashan were not doing a great job, and not that we didn't lean on Sydney and Rashan significantly to get a significant amount of the work done, but having a fresh set of eyes and asking different questions has been, I hope it's been helpful for you, Alan. I hope it's been helpful for the county. So we have, like I said, just this afternoon, we submitted a draft over to Alan and Jason, and I felt like it would not have been fair to them to have brought it to you guys without having complete input from them beforehand. But what I did give you is I wanted to give you a sense of and I know you guys just went through the budget approval there, but I wanted to give you a sense of how we look at the financial statements. And when we look at the financial statements, you see you've got all these different funds. And I don't even have the fiduciaries on here, your constitutional officers. You've got the government funds here. You got 16 different government funds. You got 2 business type funds, and you got 4 component units, and all those have to be audited and addressed in some form or fashion. And so as we go through, I mean, you have a substantial organization here, and you guys have good internal controls, and not that they couldn't be better, but I think that there are. I just wanted to give you guys a sense of the complexity of the organization that you have, and the amount of revenue that you guys have going through the organization. The amount of transactions are significant, and I think this lays it out in a manner that shows you that, you know, each of these funds are important to everybody. Each of these funds are important. Some of these funds are much smaller than the others, but they're all very important. They all have to be addressed in the audit, and we address each and every one of them as we go through. I want you guys to have confidence that has happened. In going through the financial statements, there were some things that I think that we suggest to be handled differently on a go-forward basis. Nothing that particularly affects the operations, but it affects the very technical terms of accounting. You know, if somebody comes in and looks at financial statements, they're going to be like, "Hey, why are these accruals not made?" I mean, it doesn't affect your operations. It just affects the presentation of the financial statement. So we've been very cognizant of trying to present the financial statements in the best light possible in terms of not only in terms of the results, but in terms of what and compared to your peers, how they look. and what the expectations are. So and we have leaned heavily on Cindy and Shannon. I know you guys probably thought that they were on the payroll some because they were out here so much if you came by. And then on the second page there, I just wanted to give a sense of, this is your government-wide net position. It's not your governmental fund position, it's your government-wide position. But you can see that trend over the last 5 years has gone, every year every year it's moved up. And that includes all your government funds, and that's not just the general fund, it's all these funds right here, so.
Well, the biggest one that in recent years that, I mean, if you start looking at it, it was the T-Splosh.
Right.
I mean, there was a lot of money that came in there through that.
Right, and a lot of improvements.
And then significant increase in local option sales tax and the regular splosh. I mean, we saw some increases in there. It's not like, it's not, so that most people that would look at this, I mean, they say, okay, we'll look at the property taxes. I mean, how much they've gone up on property taxes
it's negligible compared to the increase, right?
I like it negligible better than minimal. Negligible.
Right.
Okay.
So, I think the general fund is going to end up showing a deficit this year, a slight deficit. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but that's.
Yeah. We made those decisions to do that.
Right. But I wanted to give you guys an opportunity. I wanted to talk to you guys directly as your auditors and give you guys an opportunity to ask me any questions about the process, or because when I sat here in May, I said we were going to be, we were going to be available and we're going to be communicative, and I really wanted to have the draft. We worked very diligently to try to have the draft earlier so that we could have it presented this evening, and it just didn't work out. But I wanted to, I know we will have a follow-up meeting because we will have this submitted on time before December 31st. The financial statements need to be, that's when our extension expires, right? December 31st. So we are there. We are dotting I's and crossing T's and making sure that the whole package, all 106 pages, or I don't know, it's 82, 106, whatever it is, it's a lot, are ready for prime time, but they weren't ready for prime time this evening. But I did.
So the work is done.
The work is
from what I'm hearing, the work is done. Now it's just putting it all together.
Yeah, and that last 10 or 15% takes 30 or 40% of the time sometimes, because we do all this work, but if we don't make sure that it's communicated well, then all the grunt work doesn't matter. So we've got to make sure it's presented well. But and I wanted to, like I said, I can't. Alan and his team has been very, very helpful for us. It's a lot, to work their regular job and then field all our questions, because we look at a lot of transactions. We look at the internal controls of the organization. We understand the internal controls of the organization. Then we look at transactions to make sure those internal controls are working the way they're designed. And we'll have some comments on that. And then we look at, individual transactions. We make sure the transfers and the intergovernmental transfers are handled correctly. There's just a lot that goes on there, and we wanted to, but I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to ask me any questions. Again, even though we don't have the draft, I just wanted to give you a sense of all that. But.
So, before we get into any questions, perhaps, so we know now that we need to adopt this before the end of the year. So we'll need to do a special call meeting sometime between now and December 31st. So.
And I hope it's before Christmas, quite frankly.
We do. So
I think we'll all have a Merry Christmas if that's the case.
But I state that, and then I'm going to go back and say, but you gave us a draft to Alan and Jason, and I think we all got it this afternoon as well. So it gives us a chance to go and start. Your comments are in there, correct? Or some, maybe?
Some of them, not all the, because our comments also require management's response, and so they have, some of our and they have not had the chance to. We have discussed the comments already in advance with them, but we haven't given them a chance to have a management.
Are there
response.
A lot, or
They're a handful. I mean, I don't think there's any more than there were in the prior years. And it's nothing, you know, I think during the process, every time, on a weekly basis, when the comments came up, we wanted to get it out in front of Jason and Alan so that they would be aware of them and so we could talk about them and address them. But we have not finalized what's going to go into the report and what's going to be just kind of a management letter. There are different levels.
Do you want to address a date for a special call meeting tonight? I'm getting a little head nod, yes.
When are they gonna be done?
Well, I mean,
Leave it up to them.
I know that's up to us, and it's up to, I mean, at this point, I want to get comments back from them on the.
right.
Don't be too aggressive is all I can ask. Because there's a lot
of writing to do still.
A lot of stuff, we haven't even drafted the MD&A yet, so we kind of wait till we get, particularly the government-wide financials.
Well, why don't, since y'all just got this afternoon as well, why don't we just hold off on establishing a date? We know that we're gonna need to get together, at least have a quorum to adopt this before December 31st. So we'll do what we gotta do. Just, you know, I mean, I know it seems like, you know, I mean, I can see y'all are all tired.
Fresh as a daisy.
So, yeah.
Every day's a holiday.
So, quality.
That's right. No,
So,
I mean,
dotting the I, crossing the T. I think I speak for all of us. You know, we know, especially this year.
yeah, especially
Really,
this year, absolutely.
that it's imperative that we get all those I's dotted and T's crossed. And the thing that one of the things I get the most out of when I look at that is your comments and the MD&A. So I just, you know, because I can look at numbers until I'm bleary, but I can read those words and read your comments and read the MDA and get a good sense for what the numbers mean. So, y'all have any questions, comments?
Just need them to give us a date, try to give us a little more date, a week, within 3 days of when we can schedule a meeting
For
to
shoot
do
before
this.
Christmas, we're limited to probably.
Right, I mean, is that realistic before Christmas?
Yeah, I'd like to think it's realistic.
Well, it depends on Alan, too. We'll communicate
Just let us-
tomorrow, and then
let us-
we'll.
Yeah,
All right.
because these are our financials.
We'll
wanna
do
make sure they
what we have to do.
They're right, and we haven't goofed something or put something, like I said, you do all the work, but what everybody sees is what you put out on paper.
Yep.
And that's what you're judged by.
Yeah.
So we don't want to rush that.
Yeah, we do 400 hours worth of audit work, but all anybody remembers is a 20-minute presentation, and you know, the first 2 pages of the audit, the MD&A. So I appreciate I appreciate everybody's patience and indulgence on this. I mean,
Well, we know it's been challenging. You've had some challenges this year.
There have been some unexpected influences here that we.
Yeah, I know that they were time consuming.
They were
But
time
we'll
consuming,
get
yes.
that, we'll get that in the rearview mirror and
Yes.
to everyone's satisfaction and move on. So that next year we're not sitting here at Christmas time.
Yeah, and that is not the way we operate.
No.
Yeah.
I think we all understand some of the challenges. And, so
Can I just say something, Jeff?
Please do.
Yes, thank you for appointing us and for allowing us to also work with them and continue to work with y'all. It's been a good process. It's been a long process as we've worked through some of the challenges, but thank you very much for being willing to step out on this with us as we merged with them on this side.
yeah, well, we'll try to make sure that what we do on our end going forward doesn't affect what happens at the end as far as timeliness goes. Jason, you have any thoughts?
No, sir.
All right, well, not Christmas Eve.
No. Christmas Eve's a Sunday this year, isn't it?
Well, we'll do what we have to do.
No, not Christmas Eve, I can guarantee.
Okay, well, I do appreciate you taking time to come down. I appreciate all the work y'all done. I appreciate y'all's patience. So this was just a presentation, so there's no action to be taken at this point.
And as y'all work your way through that draft, everybody up there's got at least one of our cell phone numbers, so y'all just let us know.
Yeah. All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so you didn't have to sit around and listen to all this other stuff, but you're welcome to.
It's all riveting.
You're welcome
I'm sure it's all
to.
riveting.
It is, it's
I mean,
really.
the budget was really riveting, all right.
So you saw how it happened.
No, dude, thank you guys.
All right. Well, I'll jump back up to the batting order here. Next under new business is the possible appointment to the Upson County Planning Commission. Gentlemen, you have before you names that have submitted applications. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to appoint Joel Pitts and Philip Fallon to the two positions on that board.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to appoint Mr. Joel Pitts and Mr. Philip Fallon to the Upson County Planning Commission. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, Ms. Jones.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Next, for your consideration, I'll make sure I'm following this, is the possible appointment to the Upson County Board of Assessors. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Heather Rush to fill that position.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion made and seconded to reappoint Ms. Heather Rush to the Upson County Board of Assessors. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Next is the appointment of two individuals to the Board of Elections. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint Mr. Haney and Ms. Hefton.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion made and seconded to reappoint Mr. Robert Haney and Ms. Mary Hefton to the Board of Elections. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Next, we have the, make sure I'm doing it, yeah, Hospital Authority. As you know, it's our responsibility to submit up to 3 names for consideration to the Hospital Authority for appointment to serve on that authority. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we send Bill Hightower, Johnny Caldwell, and Ken Morgan's name to the Hospital Authority.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded to submit Mr. Bill Hightower, Mr. Johnny Caldwell, and Dr. Ken Morgan to the Hospital Authority for their consideration. Hearing no discussion. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Next is possible appointment to the Three Rivers Regional Council, the non-public member. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Ms. Adrienne Shales. She currently serves in that position as reapplied.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to reappoint Ms. Adrienne Shales to Three Rivers Regional Council, non-public member. Hearing no further discussion. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Next is the appointment to the Thomaston-Upson Industrial Development Authority. We have one appointment that is due. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll like to make a motion to Ms. Jennifer Rogers for the Thomaston Industrial Development Authority.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to appoint Ms. Jennifer Rogers to the Thomaston-Upson Industrial Development Authority. Hearing no discussion. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Okay. Moving right along. Thomaston-Upson County Office Building Authority. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to reappoint James Ellington to that position.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to reappoint Mr./Commissioner James Ellington to the Upson County Office Building Authority. Hearing no further discussion, Ms. Jones.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Abstain.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. You can vote for yourself. I know. Okay. Gentlemen, next on the agenda is a possible appointment to the Thomaston Upson Board of Health. We currently have we've not received any applications for that, so we'll take no action on that. Lastly, for board appointments, we have possible appointment to the Archives Records Advisory Board. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Neil Trice.
Is there a second? Motion made and seconded appointing Mr. Neil Trice to the Archives Record Advisory Board. Hearing no further discussion. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Next for our consideration is the appointment of the county clerk. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that since Ms. Jones has done such a fabulous job, that I would like to reappoint her.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Did that for you. Hearing none. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Absolutely, yes. All right, next is the appointment of the county attorney. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint English law firm.
Okay. Is that appropriate, that worded that way, or is it you?
Probably needs to be Heath English.
You want to modify your motion?
Yes, make a motion to reappoint Mr. Heath English as our county attorney.
Okay. Is there a second?
I guess so.
I have a motion made and seconded. I guess so. Means it's okay. I have a motion made and seconded to reappoint Mr. Heath English as the county attorney. Hearing no further discussion, Ms. Jones.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes, if you're sure you want the job. Okay, you got it. Well, they say be careful of what you ask for. Yeah, it's going to be a busy year. All of them are. So, all right, let's move on. Discussion and possible consideration to potential revisions to the Justice Center floor plan.
Mr. Chairman, in your packet, you have a proposed modification to the design, I believe is the top floor. That was essentially proposed by one of the judges from the circuit. The chairman and I were actually in attendance of a small ceremony there, and I had a brief conversation with the judge, and that resulted in the judge having a conversation with a few of our architects that were there, and he had basically had Rob Evans from IPG's team sort of sketch that out. I would just remind the board that, and I'd have to go back and look at the minutes, but I think a motion was made and adopted to essentially say that any further modifications to the design would have to be done by a board vote. So I had indicated to the design team that I was going to bring that to the meeting tonight. I don't have really a whole lot more context than that. I have not spoken to the judge directly about that request. I think perhaps the chairman has a little bit. I'm afraid I can't offer any more on that.
Mr. Chairman, I may have, depending on what that sketch indicates, I may have some additional information. I received
Officially?
I received an official message from Judge Coker about a couple of things that he wanted me to bring up.
Concerning the layout of this, or?
I don't know that it's layout. I mean, I can just tell you real quick, it may already be incorporated in that, but he just said that he had spoken with Judge Fletcher about the layout, and there were a couple of, not necessarily concerns, but things they wanted to make sure was you all knew about, was that first, the back row of each jury box needs to be higher than the front row. Kind of self-explanatory. The witness box needs to be a little higher than the jury box and within view of the jurors. The judges' benches need to be higher than the witness box. And apparently these matters were discussed with the architects earlier, before ground was broken, but they just wanted to make sure that those were things that were taken into consideration. And they probably are, but
I've got a comment to that. I think one of the things we talked about doing was a mock-up of one of the courtrooms.
Yes.
And that's where that would be addressed, because I was in one of those early meetings where that came up, the different heights of these things. So the plan is to have a mock-up of a room to make sure it's done right. So then the judges can come sit, make sure they can see everything.
Okay.
Yeah, those, Mr. Chairman, those components would be under furniture and fixtures. And as Commissioner Watson said, that they are going to do a mock setting with, and they're going to get input from a lot of the different users of the courtrooms to try to come to some consensus about how to lay it out. So, yeah.
And Judge Coker went on to say that in discussion with Judge Fletcher, those were the only design issues that he discussed with him. So,
But,
seems pretty simple.
but that's not what, I mean, that's different than
What he was asking for.
this
Right.
stuff here, you know.
Well, I got a question right off the bat. Does he need 2 court reporters? Because he's already got a court reporter office, and he's making a new court reporter office.
Yeah.
Go all the way to the right there, Norman. Just slide your finger across. There's a court reporter
Yeah.
right there.
Well, is that,
In the executive secretary's office, he's wanting to make a court reporter there too.
Well, that and the fact that, I think I discussed this earlier today with Jason. You got the magistrate judge is back here in this corner.
Mhm.
You got a visiting judge right here, a chief clerk right here, and a magistrate worker. There's not even an office for an associate magistrate judge.
Jason,
I don't know.
how soon do, I know the answer's gonna be yesterday. How soon does this parish need to know whether or not we're gonna approve the additional expense to make these modifications? And then for them to implement them into
My guess is days, Mr. Chairman. So
So-
we do have an OAC meeting tomorrow morning, so I can get some clarity on that.
okay.
Well, I mean, just looking at the sketch, all we're talking about is adding a wall and moving the glass from there to there. That's the only 2 things we're talking about. That's glass, that's like an aluminum storefront.
Uh-huh.
He's just saying, move it to here and make this a small office with this wall. This wall's here, and then the judge would move down to this bigger area. But these 2 things are things we probably can't do, because that's probably a mechanical chase. It's probably how they're
What
getting.
was the intent of that?
You gotta get your utilities from floor to floor, so they'll.
No, what are they trying to do there? Eliminate that wall?
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to take out those 2 walls. And I don't think that's gonna, you can't.
Each Superior Court judge has 3 employees. Court reporter, staff attorney, and a secretary.
Yeah, secretary, staff attorney, court reporter.
And then
Question is this.
But the question is this court reporter down here? Well, I just don't see that we have enough info to say, hey, yeah. I mean, well, maybe we can. I mean, what we're looking at here is somewhere about $20,000, right? Roughly.
Well, I would challenge that a little bit. I think that would be if we did it after the fact. If we had already put it in place. If we haven't put it in place, it shouldn't be that much.
Mr. Chairman, I might offer I'm still not quite certain necessarily the will or the intent of the board on this particular issue, but one solution would be to have the board authorize the chairman make the decision, since you and I did discuss that you were going to try to attend the OAC meeting tomorrow, for which the architect that had the conversation with the judge will be in attendance.
Well, hold that thought. So we're staffing this. We've got spots for 2 Superior Court judges and a spot for a visiting judge, right? I mean, this is just on the, like Jason says, this is the second floor.
It's already, you'll have, with this, you'll have a spot for 3. You'll actually have an office for 3 that could be occupied full-time, Superior Court judges and staff.
So this is one office right here. This was one suite for a Superior Court judge.
Yep.
Why is the other, and I'm assuming that the others kind of mirror this in square footage and everything. So if we're going to make this change to this one, why would not make the change? Why would the changes not be necessitated to the other suite? You know what I'm saying? You got one Superior Court judge going to have it that's configured this way, and then another Superior Court judge's office suite could be configured the original way. Is that, see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I don't know if they're consistent right now. I don't know if they're exactly the same.
Sounds like we need more discussion. So I guess my question to the board is, based on what Jason just said, how much of this do y'all want to oversee? It's got to be made in days. Obviously, if we got to have another special call meeting before the end of the year to do the CAFR.
I would say if you're going to the OAC tomorrow, it would be nice to just make sure we're assuming the right things, that it is just those simple changes. Challenge them on the cost, and if it's 18, 20 grand, then I think it would need to come back. If not, if they're like, well, if we can do it and get approval tomorrow, it's minimal.
It ain't dried in yet, is it?
No, there's no, that's what I'm saying, there's no interior walls, you're using the same piece of glass window, you're just moving it in a different location. It seems pretty,
Yeah.
so
Mr. Chairman,
I'd bring that up.
when's your meeting tomorrow?
10 o'clock.
I mean, I'm sure I can have one of the judges call you before then.
Well, I got a doctor's appointment in the morning, so probably not. So
I could probably have one call you today.
I'll reach out to him. I'll reach out, but I don't think that gives me the end. I don't think. All right. I don't think there's any action to take on this right now. I mean, I know we may have days, but I mean, we just don't have enough information on this and what the overall impact is. I mean, this is one office, but what about the rest of them? I'll find out the
We're
OAC
looking at
meeting
this
tomorrow.
months.
Yeah. Years.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I had committed I would bring it to y'all.
And
It's
you
certainly
did?
not something I'm recommending, so.
You'll be
did.
surprised as this goes up, there'll be more to come when people see it in person.
Yeah, especially when the magistrate court sees they ain't got no office for the associate judge, he's gonna have to sit out in the middle of the floor.
All right. We'll get more details on this as we go forward.
I could probably call in today.
So gentlemen, if it's okay, we'll move on. Discussion and possible consideration of an agreement with Civic Plus for the provision of licensing, permitting, and code enforcement software. So, Jason?
So, Mr. Chairman, the long-awaited replacement for iWork, as Commissioner Jones has affectionately called it several times in work sessions. Let me get my documentation here. I'm going to give you a 30-minute, sorry. I saw you flinch. 30-second intro, and then what I would like to do, give our code enforcement officer, Tyler White, the opportunity to present in a little more detail the selection process. He actually chaired our selection committee, so was really the chief staffer in charge of getting us all together, which included essentially 3 departments that were working on this. So it took a lot of time and a lot of coordination in addition to his regular duties, for which I'm greatly appreciative. But briefly, as you know, we decided to part ways with our previous provider. Sort of all of us individually reached out to colleagues across the state and said, hey, you know, if you were going to send, because there's so many products out there, more than we could ever review in a 12-month period, and we needed to move quickly to get positioned for next year so we could get back on track. We looked at 4 different solutions: Civic Plus, Cloud Permit, Hyperweb, and City Solutions, and that was largely based on input we got from our colleagues in other counties. But with that, and having approved that as sort of the initial list, if the chair would entertain, I would love for Mr. White to come and give you a brief presentation about the process and then go over our joint recommendation.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, this is his first time addressing the board at a meeting, so I would say.
I don't think.
But it is the holiday season at the same time, so, you know, maybe just a little needling, but not the usual and customary as if it were not Christmas.
All right, Tom.
Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager. So just to mirror off what Mr. Tinsley mentioned, as you know, we lost iWork back in August of 2023. The highlights are, as we recommended, Civic Plus being at number 1. Our second offer, or second proposal would be Cloud Permit, both of which offer comprehensive software management solutions that will provide us with the KPIs needed, or analytics needed by the end of the fiscal year to identify our weak points and strong points and what we're growing towards, both in the building and zoning, road department, and code enforcement. I understand that since being hired on over here, code enforcement is definitely being needed to shed some light on where we're headed towards as a community and growth-wise. Civic Plus offers not only our citizens the ability to engage with our employees or our code enforcement, our permit techs, and our building official directly, but they also will be able to piggy into what we've already started up with the Civic Gov as our website. So that ties in very nicely. In addition to, it offers transparency for our residents to understand what their complaints are when it goes in, what those resolutions are, time-stamped and dated. Same thing with their permits. So if they're filing for a permit, they'll be receiving notification through the software immediately as it's inputted by the end user, would be one of our employees, notifying them that their permit's ready for pickup or payment. So we should see an efficiency increase. We should see satisfaction increase, and we could also see on the code enforcement side a lot more citizen engagement, working towards collaboratively increasing the quality of living and standards for our citizens here. I think the biggest highlight is iWork. Annual cost was roughly around $2,500 rounded up. It's important to note that with the consideration of Civic Plus, our first year term, and this is going to be in my Exhibit A, first year term total is going to come out to $40,000. That's the implementation service cost. That's the startup. That's working with the employees, getting everything going, and that'll also include the first year term. The annual totals for moving forward from that will be at $27,000 and some change. That's just about a couple $1,000s difference than what we've previously had. But I would like to make sure that we consider the fact that there probably is a little bit of inflation with the economy since that contract was signed with iWorks. Second to that is Cloud Permit. Cloud Permit came in very comparable with $40,300. I'm sorry, correction, $40,300 with an annual cost of $23,300. Now you might ask that why would we suggest going with a higher offer? Civic Plus is going to integrate, like I said, with our website, Civic Gov, and they offer a comprehensive data panel that I think our management team, our directors, and the board will be able to utilize at a more user-friendly level that will be able to provide you guys with the information you're needing to make the best decisions for your districts and for this county as well. I think with a little bit of backside information regarding prior employment, Civic Plus was a strong candidate for a previous employer of mine. We definitely did consider them highly, and I'd like to consider them again for Upson County to help them out, or help us out.
So was your previous job, they were a candidate, but did they take them?
I departed from my previous employer before finalization. I'm not privy to what their final input was, but I was a part of the implementation process and the financial negotiations during that time frame as a director of my previous employment.
So is this like a petition?
That is
just very detailed.
So these are the people that looked at it, tested it, liked it?
Yes, to recap, since I completely ran through that, is the method of process we use. We didn't use a point system, as you would usually see in a selection or evaluating a company or a bid. What we ended up doing is I had reached out to numerous organizations, organizations that were suggested to us, orchestrated a meeting through Zoom or in one case in person, where we demonstrated the software. People that were in attendance are the ones that are already signed on this document form here for you guys. We all tested those features out to ensure that they provided the efficient protocols, procedures, and modules that would help us with our departments and our line of work. They also provided us with 4 references, each company did. I went through those references. We all diligently spoke with other agencies throughout the nation that are utilizing these services. They provided pretty good feedback, and it was nice to hear other agencies actually enjoy their software.
So I'll ask Mr. Jones a question before he asks it. So are we going to be able to see?
Oh, you stole my thunder.
Are we going to be able to see, riding down the road and we see something, we're going to be able to get on our phone and look and see the most updated information on something, because I know you don't like getting phone calls from us. Well, you probably do, saying, hey, what's going on with this or what's going on with that. And more importantly, will we have the ability, or anybody have that ability? You say it allows for citizens to interact directly. Will we be allowed to interact directly with, if we have a question, we see something, I mean, anything from trash services to roofs being put on to, demolition work being going on to new driveways to, you know it, the host of things that we deal with as we go along. Updates to, current existing code enforcement issues.
Yes, Chairman. I think you all will find that the Civic Plus with the mobile app that's also complementary to signing on this contract allows you as commissioners to create a user account. That user account enables you to communicate any cases let me reframe. Will allow you to communicate with end users, employees, regarding any case that you guys encounter. It's also going to be mapped over with a GIS layout. So any parcel that you're connected to, address that you're going to, because we also know that some of our parcels are not addressed. So if you're in a parcel, when you click on that parcel, you're actually going to see the comprehensive data from every code enforcement case, closed, open, pending, along with every permit ever established with that parcel. So if you have any questions before you end up having to reach out to an employee, you're probably going to answer those because of the software is able to answer it for you, because it's already going to be listed, and it's going to be a lot more user-friendly for you to be able to read and find, locate.
So systems are only as good as the data that gets put into them.
Correct.
So
and
what's the impact? Is this going to increase efficiency in the office?
I think we're
creating more work for the office.
I think it's going to be more sufficient. As that is being inputted, you'll find in the long term, as that is being input, it'll help us build longer or towards the future, being able to answer questions a lot faster. Having that information already put in.
I had an interchange the other day with an individual. We were trying to educate each other on our building permit process. So this is going to make our building permit. So he needs a building permit. He goes online. He'll be able to apply for his building permit.
He would be able to. That is a feature that would be offered. That's going to, I think, at the discretion of the administration and.
So he can apply for his building permit. How does he pay for his building permit?
That, again, would be at the discretion of administration if we would do online pay. It'd be similar to the credit card that's already established.
So they
in
wouldn't
the
have to,
office.
so contractor wouldn't even have to come up here eventually. We
Eventually,
get this
no.
thing rolled out, but initially, it's gonna be
And-
baby steps.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be an information
we have a-
repository at first, but then eventually we could get to a point where contractor.
Absolutely. We have a very small staff with wildly varying technical capability.
Yeah.
So in our code enforcement side, we have a high level of capability when it comes to technical savvy. On the building and permitting side, it's less so, but we're growing all the time. So.
Well, how does this, I know before, I mean, and I guess it really just kind of clicked on me. So how's the utility contractors? You know, normally they typically go online when they're doing work on the side of the roads. What have we been doing in the meantime?
We've been in between the two softwares. We've been keeping track on a simple Excel database. But yes, the utility contractors, we also have a very high level of technical savvy in the road department. That will go back to
Because they were
that will go back to virtual.
They were able to
Yeah.
pay online to everything they
Everything,
could do. They didn't
yeah.
have to come, you know,
Yeah.
because a lot of these people, it's been done out of office from another state in a lot of instances.
Yeah, that has really been. I was telling the chairman that program that we implemented as a result of that ordinance has been phenomenal for us from a management perspective. So, and then we'll go to driveway permitting the same way.
So they'll be able to go online for the road department, the utility contractors?
Yes.
Yes.
When will this take effect?
Almost immediately.
That
Yeah.
would,
What is the timeline for implementation? We
Chairman, the implementation timeframe could take up to 6 to 8 weeks on the long side. It depends on the interaction and availability of the staff members, so fluctuating between work and calls, being able to sit down and actually schedule these meetings with Civic Plus. Some of these implementation procedures could take an hour meeting to 2 hour meetings. There's a couple things that include in that is some of the things that I've already started on, for example, is an Excel spreadsheet of all the known violations that are citable and what those fees accrue. So what the fee chart would be are added into that. For an example, if I were to submit a case and say that I issued citations for a care of premise and 3 counts of junked vehicles, as I close that case out and show that it went to court and was adjudicated, it'll automatically input those fees as assigned unless otherwise I'd have to manually input
So
those.
we'll
would be
see
lessened.
we'll see if it goes to magistrate court, court date, what happened, how it was adjudicated.
It'll be a lot more informative than our.
We'll know whether or not
predecessor.
they
That's
were, the case was heard or they paid their fine.
and who's having to put that data in?
That would be your officers. They would be the same way most agencies have that working.
Well, how about all the ones that were on iWork? Who's got to manually put all them in?
So that is also part of our implementation fee. That's a big chunk of the implementation fee. It's actually going to be about $4,500 of our implementation fee. Of an
You're
initial.
taking the open cases that were in iWorks, or you
They're
taking?
gonna
the
convert.
entire
They're gonna
database?
convert all the data that was provided by iWorks, which was provided in a near illegible format in the IT world. We really frown upon the format they provided us, but nonetheless, it'll take some time to pull that information and implement that into our new software.
Okay.
I'm unsure what the clarity looks like when we do that implementation, what that's gonna look like.
So to summarize, so staff's recommendation is to authorize a contract with Civic Plus for $40,000.
$40,575.
And I will also add that that amount should have already been budgeted by department heads for 2024's fiscal.
That was gonna be my question. So
Yeah,
it was my
I've already-
question. It's already in the
It's
budget.
already in the budget.
That's why I still got a few questions.
Yes, sir. I made sure to communicate with them.
Who's going to input the data if somebody buys a building So if for a roofing permit or a plumbing permit, and I call in or I look on my app and it doesn't show they got a permit. And so how soon are they gonna put these things in? Because, you know, roofers fly.
Let me re-ask your question. What you're asking is, how soon will a permit that's been applied for be put in the system?
Yes.
Immediately. Now, if you were at a site and they said they had a permit, and you looked it up and it was not in the system, that would indicate they're lying.
Oh, I knew that. But here's another thing, if they're doing it online, can they beat you to buying the permit after they have already started the job and somebody turned them in?
Again, let me re-ask your question. Are you saying, or what you're asking is if they apply for a permit and they've already started the job before they've paid for their permit,
Yes.
they would still have to be electronically emailed their permit, or they'd have to pick it up depending on how the department's discretion is on that procedure, and then have it visibly applied to their property like it would be currently.
So they ain't gonna go online and print the permit to hang out there?
They wouldn't be able to. It's not as if they applied for it, paid for it, and they just get a permit. It still has to go through an approval procedure. So in other words, as Joe would put in the permit, it would be sent to the permit tech or the deputy clerk, Guadalupe Aragon. She would review it to ensure that all documentation supporting that permit is there. She would send it up to either Thomas Kite, the building official, or if the discretion at the department level is giving Guadalupe the ability to approve those permits at her level. She would review, approve. If approval, she would send it out along with what I guess we would consider an invoice at this point, or a cost. They would pay it. She would notify them, again, depending on the department's procedure, hey, you need to come into the office and pick up your placard, or we will email you a copy for you to print out and post on your property.
So if a contractor, roofer, whatever, road bank, who operator, if they don't have the capacity to input this in the system, that they can still go to the office?
Correct, and that was one of the biggest things mentioned, is limiting the ability for online submission and making it mainly in person. We had a roundtable discussion. I think we were in agreement that if we slowly start offering the online feature, we could help certain individuals in the community from having to come here, or even if they're outside of our community, say Atlanta, they would not have to spend their 4-hour drive to come down here to do that. They could do it from there. But also allowing individuals from our community to come to our office. And there's a really good checks and balance system. If you fill out a field incorrectly, if you were to not put in a document, it'll kick it back immediately before it's sent to us, notifying you that you're missing something or that you filled something out incorrectly. It's completely customizable to restrict what's input or what data is input by the user, so that we can kind of control and guide them to make it a more efficient, easier, user-friendly user environment.
Yeah, like somebody buying a permit for a 700 square foot house and it doesn't exist.
It would get kicked back probably. And like I said, they can also submit their plot designs and their architect designs, building permit or building plans. All that can be submitted electronically and kept virtually, and it'll be stored in a database versus hard copied. Whereas commercial does have to be hard copied though, so that's the one.
Yeah, I just don't want to lose all that stuff that we built up from my work, especially on some of these cases that are still ongoing, you know.
I think, if I may, I think our county manager and our county attorney will, if not already, will, depending on tonight's decision, after iWorks departure from our county, I think we'll make sure to ensure that when we obtain our data, it's obtained in the format that we prefer. And I think that's something Robert and I had also talked about, our IT director, to ensure that that data, when it's converted back to us, it's the format that we prefer, not in the format that they choose, so that we can make sure that when we get it back, we have it the way we need it, and we can use it.
There's a lot of cases on there.
Yeah, cases.
Mr. Chairman, if I might to add one caveat as we move, assuming we're moving forward with new software, just be mindful that any communication on there anybody could and is likely susceptible to open records, subpoena, court, newspaper, etc.
That's good.
Yes.
Nothing scary there. Nothing scary there. We're as transparent as we can be.
That's right.
So, it's there. All right. Any other questions? Okay, so gentlemen, you have a recommendation from the staff to authorize entering into a contract with Civic Plus for an initial fee of $40,575 for the first year, and it's $27,000 a year after that. Is there a motion?
Forward with this plan and get the ball rolling, and hopefully it doesn't get covered in moss before it stops
Well,
rolling.
I can't restate all that way. So your motion is to authorize the
So moved.
okay. Is there a second?
Second.
So have a motion made and seconded to authorize the expenditure, entering into a contract with Civic Plus for $40,575 for the initial year and $27,000 for subsequent years. Hearing no further discussion, Ms. Jones.
Commissioner Murray?
Yes.
Wilder? Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Okay. Tyler, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right. Next, discussion and possible consideration of the lawn maintenance bids. Any other updates on this? I know we talked about it at the work session. There was a question about pay-as-you-go type service. What were they going to charge us for if we had extra work or needed something extra done? And Alan, you want to address that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, if I may, though, just real quickly talk about the bids for the benefit of the contractors that may be viewing for sure, because they don't know who we're recommending to select.
Okay.
So we went through a process where initially, you all know the background, you guys asked us to go back, redo, see if we could get some inmate labor from elsewhere. We could not. We put this out as a formal invitation to bid. We advertised it on the Georgia Procurement Registry. We advertised it for several weeks or more in the local newspaper. We had a great turnout. I had nearly a dozen contractors show up. In the end, we had the list of contractors that you see in the point scoring table. I believe there's 7 listed on the back. We evaluated a number of things. Obviously, we looked heavily at the price, but also we considered things such as the quality. And for most of these guys, with the exception of Benchmark, I shouldn't say guys, but contractors, we had never worked with them before, so we relied heavily on their references they provided. We did check references. Some even submitted letters of recommendation in their bid packages. So we also looked at how responsive bidders were with respect to getting all the documents in that we had asked for in the invitation to bid. So after doing that, I looked at it, a couple of staff members looked at it from the facilities department, our facilities director and facilities superintendent. We all scored these and basically concluded that our recommendation for you all was Rod's Lawn Care. And we had discussed this in the board session, and his quote was for $97,200, and that's for services for the entire year based on a service or a cut every other week. So there would be 26 of those cuts throughout the year. Cases where grass may not need to be mowed, there could be leaf blowing and other things to do, picking up limbs on these properties. The list of properties is included in the back. We discussed those as well with you all at the work session. So what we did do is, what you have is a draft form of the contract. And I was asked to go back and consider, and I did do that. And I talked with Rod's Lawn Care to come up with a rate and a sort of a maximum hours per month that
we would utilize in case we have a shortage in staff and we can't take care of other properties that we do internally. We could reach out to Rod and he could take care of them for us. That was added under note 4 on the contract. It's the last paragraph. Mr. English provided a few things to wordsmith the last sentence. I will incorporate that in the final draft. A couple of key things. I've got this in the language of the contract to start on March 1st. We presently have a contract with Mr. Kendall to do all the county parks, which will end at the end of February. So to avoid having 2 contracts that address some of the same properties. Plus, we're not going to have much to do with respect to many of our properties during these months. We will take care of the courthouse, facilities will take care of the courthouse, the lawn around the courthouse, and any other maintenance from straw to whatever it needs trimming. I did, and also under price, I did take the first year and I increased, what I've added into the contract is a 3% increase to the $97,200 for the second year and another 3% to the third year. I've spoken to Mr. Hausman about this, but he has not seen a draft copy of this contract, and we need to clean up the verbiage just a little bit. But that's my recommendation in the contract. It would be a 3-year contract with Mr. Hausman to include a rate per hour and number of maximum hours that the need is held in situations that may arise.
So it's a 3-year contract, but it can be terminated with written notice for 30 days. Okay. All right, gentlemen, you have a recommendation from staff to approve this contract that's being presented to you from Rod's Lawn Care for the services that he discussed. Is there a motion?
I offer motion that we enter in this agreement as recommended by staff for $97,200 Rod Lawn Service.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any more discussion on this? Hearing no further discussion, Ms. Jones.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. All right, moving right along. Hey, Alan, oh, by the way, I know this has been a kind of a long, painful one for you. Appreciate your patience with us on this.
It's fine, actually, it worked out, I think, better.
It usually does.
Right, and you guys recommend us to go back, it comes out better. Yeah, doing it for an entire year was certainly much better than for 3 years. It drew a lot more attention and we had a lot of folks paying.
We're a good group to partner with. Discussion and possible consideration of Resolution 2023, adopting the 2024 water and sewerage rates. Jason?
Mr. Chairman, I guess in keeping with our tradition, I'll go ahead and read the resolution.
Thank you. I've done a lot of talking.
Yes. And then I can take any questions after that. So this is a resolution to establish water, sewerage, and solid waste rates for the Upson County Utilities Department. Where, and this is the first time we've ever wrapped all these rates and fees into one resolution. I'll go over that. But so this is sort of your one-stop shop for everything that we would charge over there now. Whereas the Upson County Utilities Department provides water and sewerage service to the residents of and businesses of Upson County, and where the Upson County Utilities Department operates and maintains the water and sewerage system infrastructure, including wells, pumps, tanks, meters, valves, hydrants, and other apparatus. And whereas the Utilities Department is responsible for ensuring quality and quantity of water, sewerage supplies to its customers in compliance with state and federal regulations. And whereas the Upson County Utilities Department needs to generate sufficient revenue to cover the cost of operations, maintenance, debt service, capital improvement, and reserve funds. And whereas the Utilities Department is responsible for the quarterly billing of solid waste collection services in unincorporated areas of Upson County. And whereas the Upson County Utilities Department has conducted a water, sewage, and solid waste rate study to analyze the current and projected water and sewage system expenses and revenues, and to recommend a fair and equitable rate structure that reflects the costs of service. And whereas the Upson County Utilities Department and the county manager have presented the 2024 budget to the Upson County Board of Commissioners and has solicited public input and feedback on the 2024 budget and included the need for increased water and sewerage rates. Notice I did not include solid waste collection fees in that, and I'll get to that in a second. The Upson County, whereas the Upson County Board of Commissioners has reviewed the water and sewerage rate study and the proposed water and sewerage rates, and has determined that they are necessary and appropriate to ensure the financial viability and sustainability of the water and sewerage system. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners that the following water, sewerage, and solid waste rates shall be effective from January 1, 2024, and shall apply to all water, sewerage, and solid waste customers of the Upson County Utilities Department. Starting first with the water and the wastewater fees, keep in mind we have to kind of run this in models based on assumed consumption, because obviously changes in behavior will affect rates. But what we did was we kept nearly the identical rate structure as we had before. The only addition you will see that, and I didn't want to put the old rates in to confuse the resolution, but you'll see the leak protection fee has been added. All those actually will sum up on the bill to be like a total base charge, but that's how you can see how we base that base charge fee. So it's basically for administrative services, that debt service charge, the amount of debt service to the annual debt service payments that we make. So that actually covers that in its entirety. And then we added the leak protection fee, which, as a reminder, was $1.85 per.
So as we go through this, were there changes to those rates from prior year?
Yes, indeed, and I can. I've got those queued up. I can give you what they were. It was a base charge of $3, a debt service charge of $14, and you can see that went down based on the fact that we paid some debt off, and an M&O charge of $6.
Okay, so without the leak protection, we're, let's see, that's $23, 19, 24.
And while I've got that queued up, can I?
So I don't lose my thought, you know. So $3, 14 and 6. That's $23, and then the new fee is 8, 11. It's 19, 60, 24, 80. So a net increase of about $1.80, not counting the leak protection.
Correct.
Well,
So
when was the last time we raised rates?
I think it was 2015.
Wow. Is this enough?
Was the last time.
So basically, for base rate, you're looking at $3.65. All right.
But you're getting the additional coverage.
But yeah, that's adding that
Right.
that leak protection. So this goes into effect in January. Dumps
Right.
10,000 gallons of water out there. They're covered.
That's right. And then we adjusted also the quantity charges, and I can run those down. So what they were, and I'm just going to go down the list, and I'll read from the second number. So the up to 2,000 was $4.50. Up to 5,000 was $4.75. 10,000 was $5 even. 20,000 was $5.25, and 50,000 was $5.50. And 50,000 and over was $5.75. Those were the previous rates. So all of these go combined into a model. So what we did was we actually took a few of our most recent billing runs, and we plugged these new rates in to our software to see if it generated the right amount. And we were roughly, and what if usage is the same. What people could expect overall would be roughly a 13% increase overall, which covers the additional needs that we asked for in the budget. So it's that's not going to generate any additional for capital. That's going to be essentially budget neutral to what we presented to you.
Okay. That 13% includes that $1.85 for leak protection?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Lastly, in the resolution, Mr. Chairman, hold on, I'm filling with
The only people we got on sewage would be Logan's Landing.
No.
Who else we got?
Lincoln Park.
Oh, Lincoln Park,
Mhm.
yeah, I forgot about Lincoln Park.
and then I want to say about 20 commercial customers,
Yeah.
including our own detention facility. That's our largest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Share pass rate.
One other, so a couple of the actual fees were adjusted up too, so which will help us on the capital side. As a percentage, that they tweaked it a little bit, but they're in that 15% range. The tap fees, and then the major one is the disconnect fee and the late fee. So the late fee we proposed to you went from $10 to $13 late fee, and then the disconnect fee went from $50 to $60. And we've actually been seeing, when we get in excess of 30 or 40 disconnects, the utilities department will give me a fair warning. So we're sort of in that range. It really varies, but so that will generate a little additional income outside of the model that we ran. We're really just wanting to discourage people from paying late without being too punitive.
So return a check, is that all the bank charges you, $30?
I'm not so sure that we actually get charged that anymore, but that's what we charge the customer for a bounce check. I believe, and I would let the CFO clarify, but I think since we've moved to Synovus, we don't pay, do we pay a bounce check fee?
I'm sure we do, but our fees on all of our account, we haven't had to pay any fees because
Right.
the earnings pretty good on our balances. So-
But it still is a pretty huge headache for the staff to chase down about the bad checks.
Well, it's a headache to go out and disconnect and reconnect.
It is, yeah.
I mean, it's
And it occupies a lot of the staff's time, honestly.
Right.
But
It's more of a loss, really, the time you think about it,
Yeah.
time you spend going out there and time spent. So, and then on solid waste,
we left the fees the same.
no increase in solid waste.
Yeah, because I know that's a conversation we're having, and I think I may have given you some updates in the work session, but those eventually will have to be increased, but with right now, we're not recommending that because we don't necessarily we don't know how to model it.
So
I
the
did.
city's not increasing sewer rates to us this year.
Or we just pass those along, right? We're just a pass through for sewer.
Good question, right?
For sewer, we are, yes, but I think what Commissioner Jones was referring to was their fire readiness fee, and I don't know if I'm getting that title correctly, but they did postpone that, but I think January 1.
Really?
Yeah, that will come back, so yes, and I think we estimated what that annual cost was.
Don't recall.
Is our fee structure gonna cover that?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Remember, we're only paying it as on about, and I actually have it on my desk so I can show you before we leave. It's that they actually resent the letter, and they break it down by wherever we're metered. So they charge it by the meter. So we're only paying for the meters that go from their system to our system. It's not in every individual meter on the system here. So we included that expense in our cost for water when we did the budget. I do want to add one thing. So section, and the chairman and I actually had a brief conversation about this last week. Section 2, everything else is essentially just solidifying our normal process. But section 2, I added some language here, and what I say was the water, sewage, and solid waste fees may be reviewed annually. Shall be reviewed annually, which generally we do. Based on the annual review, the Board of Commissioners may instruct staff by a majority vote to increase the water, sewerage, and solid waste rates to reflect the changes in CPI. So it wouldn't require us to adopt a whole new resolution. You could, by a majority vote of the board, say, please, we could come in and ask the board for permission to adjust by CPI.
We talked, Jason and I talked about it, and one option was to go ahead and build it in automatically. But
obviously that was staff preference.
Yeah. I suggested that rather than just building it in and letting it happen by default, we wanted to. I felt like you guys would want to make that decision consciously rather than have it built in. So it stays that way until we get a request for that from the staff. So it'll be a conscious decision. So.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman, reviewed, acknowledged, approved by our esteemed CFO and by our utilities director, and recommended for your approval.
So
I hope you make money on some of this stuff, because some of it's mighty cheap. Breaking even.
It's budget neutral for this year.
I don't think you're budget neutral on some of this stuff. A broken lock, how much the lock costs, and how much it costs a man to go out there and fix it once the lock's broke off, and then replace the lock. You gotta drive there, you gotta do all that stuff. Somebody cuts the lock off because they want the water, and we cut it off. $30. That's a lot of labor, dude.
yeah.
I don't think we're making money on it. I don't even think we're breaking even on it. I don't think we're breaking even on the meter cutoff. $300. They gotta dig that sucker up, cut the line off, put a new valve on for $300. I don't think your rates are right, but
All of the charges would apply, just depending on what happened. And obviously, those are pretty unique cases. So.
theft of service.
And that may come with other criminal penalties as well, in addition to the fee on your bill.
I just, I'm gonna go along with it, but I think some of them are way too cheap.
And it's a tiny revenue stream for us. We were really concerned with the rates. We did ask y'all in the ones that I mentioned to increase. We will certainly look at those a little stronger again, and if there's a willingness to go higher on those, obviously any amount, the higher amount, the larger the deterrence. And really, it's the deterrence we want. It's not necessarily the cash. But your point's well made.
I understand that.
Well, at the end of the day, the intent of all this is to make sure that enterprise is self-sustaining and not supported by the taxpayers who don't have benefit of water and sewer. Now, everybody has solid waste, we hope, so that there's no increase in solid waste rates at this point. So gentlemen, you have the resolution. At this point, is there a motion on adopting the resolution as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, motion made, seconded to approve the resolution to establish water, sewer, and solid waste rates for Upson County Utilities Department as presented. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Okay, before I move on to Housing Authority lift station, have we heard anything back? Well, I know we sent them a letter regarding that.
We received an open records request from them, and that was the last time that we had heard from them. So they're still on notice to be self-sustaining January 1. Is that correct? Didn't we give them a calendar year?
I think it's,
Yep.
it was, so January 1st, that lift station is no longer ours for M&O. All right. Finally, all night. Comments, Jason?
Mr. Chairman, I actually have my comments in writing, and I've got a couple of attachments to go along with it. I would just quickly highlight, there's a promising broadband project update in there. There's an update on our investment grade audit with Schneider with a 2-page attachment that has a timeline. We've already had the kickoff meeting for that. The recent field inspection for the judicial center is included as an attachment there. And then I do have some language about current and, well, I don't have any language. I have Thurston Well repair update in there, which just to skip to the good part, that we should have our, I know Ben's probably watching me and says, don't mess this up, Jason. We're gonna have our, not just our motor, but our pump housing by the end of the week. So according to Ben.
So the material will be here, but then we
have to install it.
Right.
Yeah. I guess it was not, the availability of the motor was not an issue at all. It was the pump that took an extra few days. So we've not had the need to do any kind of boil advisories, or we've not had any service interruption of any kind as a result of that. I did talk to the engineers, our consultants that are working on the new well project before we walked into the meeting. The design has been submitted to EPD, as we told you, for their approval. Our engineer says as soon as that approval comes back, he'll convert the specs into bid specs, and he's telling me a week or so after the permit's approved, then we go to market. He's just weary of going to market with a design that may have to be modified during the procurement process. So, and I think that about covers that. The last, I want to say that was submitted December 4th was the last communication we got on that. So he promised me he would follow up this week with a conversation with the folks in the Macon office to see what the status of that was. There's what.
Okay. That it?
I would like to say Merry Christmas to everybody, and a heartfelt thank you to my colleagues, my appointed colleagues, but especially my staff. It's been a wildly challenging year. So
we didn't appoint you again for another year, did we?
You're contractually obligated. I wish that were the case. But I just want to say a huge thank you to every staff member out there, Board of Commissioners, Constitutional, especially volunteer staff, our part-time staff. We often, I think, as a society, lose sight of what it takes just to make a county go. It's not just full-time people. It's part-time people. It's appointed people that may make some money, no money. They do it because they love it. But volunteers, staff, everyone that makes this county move every day, I'd just like to say thanks. And that is all, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Jones?
I would also like to say thanks for my reappointment as clerk, and I would like to remind everyone that the employee Christmas luncheon is December the 22nd at 11:30 at the Civic Center.
Okay.
Ugly sweater.
Ugly sweater.
We can have our meeting at that.
Civic Center.
Okay. Mr. English?
Mr. Chairman, I would agree with my counterparts here. I appreciate the vote of confidence. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with the county this year, and I would agree with the chairman that this upcoming year is going to be a big year. And with that, I would like to say happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas.
Is that a big year for lawsuits or what?
I plead the fifth.
Mr. Watson?
Yep, I'd just like to tell everybody, have a safe holidays and a Merry Christmas. That's all.
Ditto. Like the, well, let me say this first. I hope we start out next year. I know we're gonna probably be, we got a lot on our plate. I agree with Mr. English on that. Next year it's gonna be, it's driving 90 mile an hour on a 35 zone, especially for three of us on this board. But I want us to look at, I think it's time for us to review some of the engagements we have with vendors, contracts with different groups, or for services that we may need to look at, maybe, staying with our policy that, that we bid those out. And, to make sure we're getting what we're paying for, make sure we're getting in fair shape. And I'd just like to say to all the staff and to my fellow commissioners and to citizens of Upson County, Merry Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. And let's all be safe and remember the reason for the season. That's all I got.
Mr. Jones.
Ditto. Always appreciate y'all coming. Everybody's watching out there. Appreciate Tyler for what he's doing for us over there in the corner, and we've come. We're a few steps up the rung now. So we got a new code enforcement.
We do.
And his name is?
Her name
is Martisha Thompson. She's out of Pine County, Women's Correctional Facility. She's been 2 years as a state certified officer.
Okay. Okay, she started when?
She started December 7th. She's already made her rounds, and she's pretty much seen the full table of code enforcement. That's just going to be refining her skills and professionalism out in the field for the next 6 weeks for our cut loose.
Right, well, Merry Christmas to everybody. I appreciate everything everybody does on this board. We're doing, I know some people think that, we'll put this into words, think that we're not taking care of our citizens by, running the government, but we're doing a really good job. We don't spend any money that we don't have to spend. So, Merry Christmas to everybody. That's it.
Mr. Wild?
I guess I want to echo the comments from everybody else, but do thank everybody for the job they do. And I want to make mention that the regular Rien Foundation, I think they're headquartered in Covington, Georgia. They're going to be in Edicoya Park at the park out there on the 23rd of December from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. giving out toys. They're going to give out 500 toys, and they're not asking for anybody to donate toys. It's a non-profit organization, and they're going to be giving out toys out there, 500 of them. And they said they want everybody that have children to bring the children. The children can't come out there by themselves and get toys. They have to be attended by an adult, with an adult. And with that being said, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and have a happy and safe holiday season. And since this is our last meeting before Christmas, I believe, I think that special call meeting will be after Christmas, but it'll still be during the holiday season. But anyway, be safe and enjoy. That's all I have.
Okay. Well, I've got a bunch, but I'm not going to go there tonight. I wish y'all all a very Merry Christmas, and thank y'all for coming. I mean, it's great to see y'all every time you come here. And for those folks that are watching online, I mean, we can't see you, but we know you're out there. We appreciate what you do, and we breezed through a lot of board appointments tonight, and what Jason said earlier. When you thank people, we run for office, we're elected, we have people who are hired and work for the county, and a lot of these board appointments, they're people that volunteer their time, and most times there's very little, if no pay associated with that. They serve as a better than their community. And, so we were fortunate this year to have a good number of people who took the opportunity to step out, step up, and ask for the opportunity to serve this community. And we're fortunate to have people who have served this community, and now they've got folks that are stepping up and taking their place in some cases, and we don't need to dismiss their service either. So maybe we can do something for them at a later date. But anyway, so thank you for what you do. Thank the staff. Thank the citizens. And we are a great community, and we are blessed in many ways to have what we have here. We're going to fight to keep it. So with that, any other by the ways? Hearing none, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Adjourn. Thank y'all. Have a good one. Don't jump to the comments. Oh, you just shoot it to me? Yes. I will do my very best to be punctual. I got 8 o'clock high county.
It's coming out again.
I don't in person. Okay. Not in there.
Coming again.
Yeah, trailer.
But we can, if you, just call me if you